Well, hello. We're joined this afternoon in the D-Spot podcast room with Dr. Dana McNeil, PsyD, LMFT, CGT. Let me spell out what those actually stand for. So that's a doctorate in psychology, licensed marriage and family therapist, and also certified Gottman trainer. Certified Gottman therapist. Welcome.
Yep, that's me. It feels weird to be on this side of the microphone, but yes, those are all me. Hi, Jeffrey.
Fantastic. Hi. It's nice to see you. So our topic for today is intensives. What are they? This amazing new thing that seems to be very much on people's minds. And we have somebody who's been doing those for quite some time here to fill in the blanks for us. So why don't we just start off by what is an intensive?
Yeah, they're very popular all of a sudden, and we've been doing them for a while at the practice. Sometimes they're also referred to as marathon sessions, which I find tiring. Like you have run a marathon and
Right.
You're exhausted because intensive doesn't have to be something that's hard. It doesn't have to be something that's exhausting. But what is an intensive? Back to your question. It is a form of couples therapy that is essentially having 6 months of therapy in a weekend. Right? I mean, if you think about the concept of that, I am spending time, my clinicians that do the intensives with us here at the practice are spending a full day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 or 5 days working with a couple one-on-one. So it used to be pretty popular to have a group of couples come together. There'd be some psychoeducation, there'd be some breakouts with the therapist, but they'd all work
Like
through
over
things.
a weekend.
Yeah,
So
and they'd all work through things as a group.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we are just working with a couple by themselves in our office, and it is very intense because we can do a lot of work. In traditional couples therapy, you have an hour or a 90-minute session, and there's those confines of sometimes they've just come from a meeting or they've just run from parking and then they're late. And then we want to have chit chat. I want to know how my clients are, but then I've got to start wrapping it up. And just as we're starting to get to the meat of the matter, it's time to close down, right? And there's not necessarily the mental space that's being held because we're distracted by other things. So one of the really nice things about intensives is because many of our couples come here to San Diego from around other parts of the country. We call our program Therapy Getaway. Because we live in this great place, right? People want to come to have vacations here, but they're also leaving behind the outside world. They're leaving their responsibilities of their kids, getting stuff picked up at the dry cleaner, figuring out what they're going to make for dinner, and they can just focus on their relationships. And then at the end of the day, they can take a break, right? They can
go out to dinner together.
Yeah,
go
go
to
down.
the park.
Take a walk on the beach, right? And so we really get to roll up our sleeves for those couples that finding time together is always difficult. Most of us have very busy lives, jobs, responsibilities. You can dedicate time that would have taken you several months to just kind of working through a lot of the big issues with your therapist one-on-one in a kind of shortened amount of time.
Yeah, how fascinating. I imagine there are some really challenges and opportunities in the pacing of it, right? You can really custom tailor the session on the flow to kind of capture exactly what they're presenting with and adjust as need be, right? Rather than just having, maybe 50 minutes or 60, 70 minutes at best.
Yeah.
You have a whole extended period of time to really dive in.
We do a 3-hour to 4-hour assessment straight out the gate. We're not given that luxury very often as therapists to be able to sit down with our clients for that amount of time. It's very organic because we get to have conversations. It's not stilted. It's not where we left off last week, right? It's okay. I want to talk about something. Something came up. Hold on. Let's do this intervention to talk about it. Let's return back to it. It doesn't break our flow, and we can really get to some really good deep work with our clients.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you find that there's a sort of a typical presentation or a problem set that your couples come in with, or do you get a wide variety of presenting concerns?
We get a wide variety. I would say, for the most part, there's a couple of things that I see show up quite a bit. I see a couple that's on the edge of a crisis, right? Maybe there's been an affair, or maybe there's been some sort of betrayal, or we're at the point where divorce is starting to feel like it's a true option. And so those couples often view themselves as in crisis. We've got to have some sort of major fix or some sort of major attention. For other couples, we've drifted apart over 20 years. Right? That we haven't felt close and connected for a long period of time. And I don't even know who this person is anymore. I'm in the business of being in a relationship versus really hanging out with my best friend. And so they see it as something that they want to do to reconnect. Other couples, I don't know for those of you that are watching or listening to this, but gray divorce is the, largest percentage of people that are getting divorced these days. And so sometimes when you've made an investment of a whole life together, you have grandchildren, you have vacation homes, you have 401ks together, it feels really important that we figure out what direction we're going to go to. If we're in a place in life where one of us is going to retire and the other person isn't ready to retire, or our kids have moved out, or we just feel like I haven't known who this person was in a long time, and we don't have the distractions of soccer practice and getting the house organized for a barbecue, that maybe the wear that we've had in our relationship is really starting to show up. So there's a lot of reasons why people come to intensives, but I think the majority of them is that they want to make some kind of major movement in their relationship in a short amount of time, because maybe time doesn't feel like a luxury when you're emotionally disconnected.
Yeah, it's a significant investment in your relationship, and in a concentrated fashion. It seems like it's a really good fit for the Gottman method as well, right?
I think it's perfect for the Gottman method because we already do a fairly long assessment session, and we get to use the technology that we learned through the Gottman Connect to kind of find out where the pulse points are of our clients before they're even here. So I'm already percolating on which of the 50 different interventions that I have available to work with my clients are going to be tailored fit for what's happening. And then as new things show up, I've got all these amazing tools to help my clients tackle it, and it's evidence-based, so they feel confident that they're going to have something that's actually proven over the last 50 years to have a significant impact. The Gottman method reports that clients who use these relationships improve their relationship by 86%. That's enormous to make this sort of investment of your time and emotions and travel, and so I feel super confident that I have something that my clients are going to resonate with.
Yeah, and we see those results longitudinally, right? You check in with them 3-5 years later, and they're still reporting increased marital satisfaction and so on, right?
Yeah.
Oh. What are some of your favorite interventions, if you could
That's
think
like
about
choosing
that?
which child you like the best.
I know. I kind of wanted to put you on the spot, but I figured it might give you a chance.
I have some that I almost always grab, and one of the ones that's most important and very little sometimes talked about amongst us Gottman therapists is something called what to do when the flooding starts. And what that means is before I can help my clients understand what's happening in their relationship and start using tools to better their communication, they have to understand what's physiologically happening to them in the moment.
Right.
Because if my brain is hijacked, essentially, most of my clients know this as fight, flight, or freeze, right? This biological thing that I have that tries to protect me, even if it's my partner and their feelings are coming at me, right? I need to understand, why do I need to take a break? What's happening in my body? Why am I having a hard time processing? Why am I saying things that I don't want to say? Right. So helping my clients understand, what are the things that trigger them? What is it that they need to feel soothed, either by themselves or through their relationship? And really slowing down. We can't make any process when you're physiologically aroused, right? So that's one of my favorites. I also like something called a stress-reducing conversation, because what we know is that there's stress in the outside world, and if there's also stress on our inside world, and we don't have any way of navigating that as a couple, we're just going to make each other worse. Right? And there is this fallacy that sometimes I want to fix my partner's feelings. And there is no fix for someone's feelings, and I don't want you to fix my feelings. I want you to listen.
That's a lot of pressure.
I want you to listen. I want you to tell me that you see what I'm saying, that you validate me, that you understand that I'm not a crazy person, that I really should be upset by that thing that happened at work today. And I just want my best friend to see me. There is nothing else that, unless you hear me say, what do you think I should do? I'm not looking for your tips and tricks on how to better my life. And so giving couples access to having those conversations a different way is incredibly impactful. Yeah. And then the third intervention that I love using, and I think it's dynamite and really gets to the core of things. It's called What to Do After a Regrettable Incident. Right? And so the reason that I really like that is we're processing a fight that we got into. Everybody can do that. But the thing that's different is, what are we going to do differently when we find ourselves in this situation again? Because we will. It's not because I didn't load the cheese knife properly that we got in a fight. It's because I didn't accept your influence, right? And so there's going to be more situations where I had an opportunity to accept your influence, and for some reason, I didn't do it. What are we going to do so that we have different outcomes moving forward? Because you are supposed to fight. All the research shows the average couple has at least one conflict per week. That's normal, right? So many clients come in thinking we're not supposed to have conflict, so they try to avoid it, which means they also avoid repairing it.
Isn't it also true that roughly 69% of the issues that couples typically fight about are perpetual. Gridlock issues, right? There's never going to be a resolution. Chances are it's going to keep coming back over and over again.
And so we have a way to help them deal with that as well, understanding that they're never going to go away, but they don't have to create World War III every time they come up at your house. We have to set up a set of temporary compromises that we're going to be reevaluating for the rest of our relationship together, which means we've got to try something. We've got to get out of gridlock with each other, right? And so then we try something for a month or so, and then we check in. How's it working? This part's working great. Keep it. This part is not working. Let's get rid of that one. Okay, here's our new temporary compromise, and we keep moving the ball down the road.
Right. And so you introduce these rituals of connection and sort of these relationship rituals so that they're checking in weekly. Maybe they're having 3 times a week stress-reducing conversations. They're having a State of the Union conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing that occurs to me is you were talking about, flooding and stress reduction. It's not only that there are tangible benefits for your relationship, but there are also like physical health benefits. Isn't there some research that shows that like when couples are successful at co-regulating, that they actually live longer, right? And it actually wards off disease, like their immune system gets a boost. What an amazing benefit.
We're built to be in relationships. We're not built to be alone in the world. And so if I can't figure out how to connect with my partner and I feel alone even when I'm sitting on the couch with them, why am I in relationship?
So these therapy getaways, these intensives, sounds like a really ideal format.
I love it. It's hard for me to go back. I mean, obviously I do. I'm still a proponent of, traditional therapy, but for me, I feel the most energized. I want to work harder for my clients because it is such a gift to be allowed into their world and for them to give me the trust and to give our practice the trust that they can show up and be their authentic selves and they're not going to be judged and we're not going to tell them that they're doing something wrong. We're not going to finger point. Our client is the relationship. We want them to have the best relationship possible. And if there's something that we can do that better serves their relationship and they're willing to give us the trust of letting us into their inner world, I can't see anything that's more of a treasure as a therapist than getting to participate in that.
Indeed. And it should be noted that just because an intensive is being offered does not necessarily mean it will be equally as effective. You have a couple things going on. Number one, you said the Gottman method, but remember that this is the relationship place and that the therapists who work here specialize in couples therapy.
Yeah.
And that is a specialty that really matters, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we're a niche within a niche, right? Number one, we're dedicated to couples therapy, which is not... that's not necessarily out there. I mean, there's not very many of them around the country that just specialize as a group practice in the Gottman method. And we see over 10,000 clients a year. So we've got a lot of experience. We've seen a lot of things. We're all collaborating with each other. And then, of course, we have the Gottman method, which is sort of the anchor of our practice.
Indeed. And we also have San Diego.
We also are very fortunate to have San Diego. So our clients get to take a nice long lunch break. They can walk over to the park. We're very close to downtown. We're close to the beaches. Not a bad gig to go work on your relationship.
No, indeed. Anything else you'd like our listeners to know about the intensives, the therapy getaways that we offer here at the Relationship Place?
If you want to check out our website, it breaks down the different, we even have intensives for individuals. So if somebody sees that they have perpetually an issue in their relationships and they can't understand what are they doing that's contributing to it, or why am I having a hard time in my relationships, you can do a deep dive on yourself, right? But we also have them broken out into different categories and different topics. And so there's really, you can create your own menu with it. Whatever it is that you need, all of our admin staff are great at helping you identify how many days you might want to come, what would be an ideal time to come, and we're pretty flexible. We have therapists available 7 days a week. So yeah, I'm really proud of the program, and we've been getting amazing feedback. We've put some of the feedback on our website, so you can take a look as well.
Well, Dr. Dana McNeil, it sounds like our listeners should really give it a look.
Thanks for your time.
Hey, it's my pleasure.